Welcome to You and Aya, the human experience. I'm your host, Aya, and I will be taking you on a journey of self-discovery through personal experiences. This podcast was created in hopes to give you a fresh perspective on life and to expand your beliefs that no matter what, you are in charge of your own life and your own success. Before I start going deeper into why I am behind the mic today and what the purpose of this podcast is, I want to share with you how the idea came about and how long it took me to actually commit myself to bring it to life. In 2017, I lost someone very dear to me, my father. May your soul rest in peace. After his death, I was depressed and I couldn't cope. I was in denial. I shut myself completely out. I fell off the face of the earth and I even experimented with drugs. You could say I was definitely a lost cause. Life was absolutely meaningless. I had no appetite for food. I lost interest in people and my hobbies. I craved nothing. My bedroom was my only safe space, and sleeping was my escape from reality. Then, a year and a half later, my grandfather passed away, and that is when it hit me. I have been living the last couple of months of my life as a parasite, flowing endlessly, trying to survive instead of actually living. At that point, I just knew I had hit rock bottom. I had been disconnected, depressed, grieving, in my head, and with no contribution to the world. And that is when I knew I was ready to change my life around. But see, it was during my grief, this darkest time of my life, that a great awareness about myself and my life surfaced. It was quite alarming. I realized that I had no idea who I was, what my purpose was. It seemed as though everything before that point was a fog, a heavy, blinding fog that I could no longer bear. I was drained emotionally, mentally, physically, and even spiritually. I was exhausted. And I knew I had to do something to lift that fog, and that was to face my reality. And since I felt that I had nothing to lose, I just lost my father. What else could be worse? I decided to dig into my psyche. Yeah, you know that scary place that you and I tend to stray away from, and try to understand who Aya is. Who am I? Without all this false conditioning I have been living under since I've entered this realm. I had to shed everything I thought I was to find myself. And this is when my journey of self-discovery, being true to myself, following my intuition, and giving societal norms the big middle finger officially started. Which brings me to why this podcast is coming to life. When it hit me that I must move on because I was sitting there literally in my room and always in my head, questioning and doubting all of my life choices and what had led me to my despair, I decided to get my shit together, tuck and roll back into society, and try to implement these findings about myself and what I want into existence. And when I did, I was filled with fear. Man, I was petrified. I didn't know how to act. I was still sad, confused, and unattuned with myself. But I knew my journey already started the moment I acknowledged that I was dissatisfied with who I am and where I am in my life. And there was no going back. But do I lie when people ask how I was doing? Do I pretend? Do I wear the, "Oh, I'm great" mask again? No, I couldn't. Part of me was yelling, wailing, asking me to voice my feelings, to let it out, to share. Small talk was not a thing for me, at least not anymore. I was curious. I wanted to know who else is feeling like this. What is life? How do we cope? How do we move on? What did other people go through? How did they get over it? If they ever did. Is this feeling permanent? Why is everyone pretending to be okay? Why are we all pretending to have it figured out? Just following the herd. I was on a quest to understand the human experience. And I had to dive in, and I was not willing to come up for air until I got some answers. So I did. Well, not actually dive in. I would have probably drowned by then, but figuratively dove in. I went out and started my search by talking to random people at restaurants, bars, whether I was standing in a queue line or at work, over the phone, wherever. I was ready to talk. And that is when I realized that we are all longing to be heard, seen, and understood. We just want to connect. And you must understand that it was no longer just about the experience of losing a loved one. It was no longer the experience of death alone that had me curious. This experience was merely an awakening, but rather what surfaced after, acknowledging the dissatisfaction within, the questioning about purpose, goals, life traumas that haven't been dealt with, the past, the present, the future, emotions, the shackles, false notions, and what matters to me the most. How do I get there? How do I crumble down what society had constructed for me and start rebuilding my own? Honestly, I was after finding Aya, myself. Aya that I have lost because I was too busy giving people what they wanted, what they were expecting of me, what they wanted me to be. While the real Aya faded away, she hid inside a cloak of night and disappeared in hopes that one day she will wake up and realize that her life, her legacy lies within, by simply embracing her soul and accepting all the parts she has neglected about herself because she was afraid to be Aya. Do you relate? And on a lighter note, I would love to thank the coffee house for sponsoring my podcast. Come by and say hi. I actually work at the coffee house here in downtown Lincoln, Nebraska on P Street. If you use the title of my pilot, Unfold, you'll get a small free coffee of your choice. Again, don't forget to tell your barista the code word Unfold and you'll get yourself a free coffee. I hope to see you then. So my father gave me this gift, me being where I am today. His death was his gift to me. In some cultures, they say that death is a new beginning or a rebirth. I never understood what that meant until it happened to me. He was a sacrifice. He was the moral to my story. It was to show me that if you are not true to yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you're not doing what resonates with you, if you're not following your legacy, you have already died. So, have you ever had an experience that changed your outlook on the way you perceive yourself? Was there an incident that made you pause and reevaluate your life? Was there an encounter with someone that had you thinking about a new perspective? Or a time where you felt that everything you are doing or have been doing is not for you or just not you? Why do you think these experiences had such an impact on you? And if so, how did you start to turn your life around? Life is many things, yet there is one thing you and I can agree on. Life is unfair. By accepting that, you will allow yourself to welcome your reality and from there, fight the norms and be true to yourself. Welcome to you and Aya, the human experience. Are you ready to fulfill your legacy? Music by Gray Castro. Thank you for collaborating with me and being part of my podcast. And a special thank you to Mr. Mark Smith, station manager at KASU all the way in Jonesboro, Arkansas, for helping me choose the perfect name for this podcast. Stay tuned for my upcoming episode titled Dissatisfaction. I will be releasing one episode every Thursday, and I really hope you come by the coffee house for great coffee and pastries, and of course, to see me. Until next time.